And so more about managing weeds and other benefits to managing weeds. We have Dr. Jonathan Larson.
We're going to stand here and talk with each other, right?
Yeah.
All right. So can we walk through the process a little bit? Like, what would this have looked like before you came in and put the plastic down? There's no plant life in here. It's all been sanitized.
It was Weed City.
Oh, okay.
Weed City. I'm guilty as charged of, hey, I have other things to worry about this tunnel. So what we did is we came when approaching our solarization date, right? We came in and tilled the whole thing. But up until that point, it was lots of weeds. All right. Lots of weeds. And so we tilled maybe a week beforehand and then put down the drip tape. You could do a sprinkler. For the purposes of a research project, we really wanted to make sure that the entire tunnel was evenly irrigated. And so we did drip tape. But for growers' purposes, I think if you had a few sprinklers that you could move around and really get fairly good moisture, I think that would be enough.
That's cool. When you first brought this up to me, I was very excited because to me, this sounds like a bed bug heat treatment, except for agriculture.
Yeah.
I was excited about the possibility that this could be used to control some of our different pest insects that pop up in the tunnel, maybe overwinter in the tunnel. But when you described the removal of all of the plant material beforehand,
you got sad.
I got sad a little bit because that means that there's probably not a lot of bugs left, not a lot of eggs or overwintering spots that they maybe were using. So there's not going to be anything to necessarily solarize from an entomological perspective. There could still be some kind of hidden in the nooks and crannies around here.
Right.
If I look around here and I pretend I'm an aphid, I see some good spots that I would hide out in, perhaps.
Oh, for sure.
There's some also possibilities for things like hornworms to have pupated in the soil if they were in the tunnel.
Right.
They would be very well protected, as Dr. Goche referenced for the microbes. That soil is a good insulator from those air temperatures.
Yes.
When it's 130 up here, might be a balmy Floridian like 89 down. Yeah. So I don't know that we're going to kill a lot of bugs, but I was much more excited about what you pointed out over here, this idea that we could do any amount of weed control, because weeds kind of become this green wave that pests like aphids can ride into your tunnel. As you described, it's really difficult to do much about them. You're not allowed to spray an herbicide in here. You'd probably harm the stuff that you're trying to protect anyway. But if we can manage those weeds, I think that we can delay the invasion of things like aphids in particular. And any delay in that is going to let you arm up and get ready for them with insecticides or get a biological control program kind of in place so that you're more ready for them when they do show up. And I think it also cuts down on that early season damage. So you're not going to have plants that are already kind of set behind the 8 ball as they get going.
Right.
I had an experience in a tobacco tunnel, a float tunnel earlier this year. Have you been in one of those before?
Yes.
It's an interesting situation. They're all floating there. It's very solemn feeling.
Peaceful.
Yeah, like water world sort of kind of thing. And the grower was experiencing an aphid problem. They were really exploding, and it turned out that they were on all these annual bluegrass weeds that were growing on his path in the center of it. And they were colonizing his tobacco, and they were causing quite a bit of damage, and he couldn't spray the tobacco fast enough to get rid of them. And it just turned out to be this really simple, like you just need to get rid of this, and then the aphids won't have a banker space for them to survive in. And the same would be true in this tunnel. So I'm really hopeful that this solarization does help with that. I think that's where I'll come in from a bug perspective.
Right.
But I'm also got like devious plans about like maybe we'll tack up some cages of aphids on the sides or something and see how long they can survive. There is potential spaces, as I said before, where bugs could be hiding out. So I think it would be worth it to do it. Insects, much like the diseases Dr. Goche talked about, they have a lethal temperature and they have a lethal amount of time that has to be sustained. Any deviation from that lethal temperature and the clock kind of resets and you kind of start from zero. That's what we see with the bed bug heat treatment that I alluded to before. And they will use anywhere that they can. If they can just get a temperature cooler, then they're going to survive the process. If it's 124 behind that bucket in the corner there, or inside of it, or between those planter buckets over there, then they'll sense it, they'll go there, they'll live, and then they'll recolonize afterwards.
So yeah, it's about maintaining a certain temperature, both with disease and insects. It's about maintaining a certain temperature for a period of time. And what we've seen is we can sustain a pretty good temperature for about 6 hours.
Yeah, that would do it.
And so it happens about every day based off what I've seen from the data logger information. About 4 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay.
is surprisingly our sweet spot for lethal temps.
Interesting.
So
some nighttime bug baking.
we've got we've got some accumulation happening.